Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Now it seems that Kingdom Come Deliverance II is pretty well optimised, so I thought we'd try and play it with Intel UHD graphics today. I started with my i5-8400, which has an onboard UHD 630 iGPU. The game started but crashed. I then decided to try my i3-12300, a quad-core CPU with 8 threads and onboard UHD 730 graphics. I also paired it with 32GB of 3200 MHz DDR4, and this time we got to the main menu without any issues. To start with, I went for the lowest in-game options at native 1080p. I left SMAA enabled, as it doesn't seem to have a significant impact on frame rate, but it clears up all the jagged edges. But jagged edges were the least of our issues. The game looks good, for sure, even at low, but 7 FPS isn't going to cut it. I've powered through with 15 FPS before, back in the days when I had an AMD A4 3300 APU, and really wanted to play Far Cry 3, but this is just silly. Of course, it's all a bit of fun, and I want to see if we can actually make this game playable. 30 FPS is the target. Before dropping the native resolution, I switched FSR on, which works fine with the Intel iGPU, and chose the performance preset, the lowest we can go. There is no ultra performance mode here. As it is, the game will warn us that the performance FSR mode will make certain text hard to read. As far as frame rate goes, we saw a nice boost of about 3 or 4 on average. I haven't put any figures up on screen because it seems a bit pointless. At this stage we're still working with what I and most of you would call unplayable results anyway. With that, it was time to drop to 720p, the lowest resolution on offer, at least from the in-game menu, but more about that later. At 720p native with the lowest settings once again, our frame rate was pretty much the same as it was with 1080p and FSR performance. Both are pretty unplayable I think, but FSR performance with a base resolution of 1080p looks a little better than 720p native. As a side note, the i3-12300 works pretty well with this game, providing you have a discrete graphics card. Without one, well, you can see what happens, but now is not the time to give up. This time I switched FSR on at 720p, so we were upscaling from, well, I hate to think, but it doesn't look too horrific, and we're well into double digits. We're hitting at least 20 frames per second a lot of the time. This looks how the world looks to me if I don't wear my glasses. To be honest, we've made games look a lot worse for a lot less FPS in return in the past, so there's no sense in stopping here. We've got a 30 FPS target to achieve after all. We can actually lower the in-game resolution even further by going to Users, Save Games, Kingdom Come 2, Profiles, Default, and opening the Attributes XML file. It's here we can find our current resolution and change it. I decided on 640 by 480. Now the in-game menu will still say 1280 by 720, but it's pretty easy to tell that we're running at a lower res. Just look at the state of it. Here we are then at 640 by 480 low with native resolution. Anti-aliasing is off altogether this time because it looks a little sharper overall, and we need all the help we can get. Despite hitting 30 FPS every so often, the game will still dip towards the low 20s when the action heats up, and that is going to be quite a lot, especially if, like me, you end up picking fights with entire towns. Although we've set a custom resolution outside of the game, we can still enable FSR within it. Doing so, however, seems to revert the resolution back to 1280 by 720. Now this won't be an issue once we've settled on our final settings. We won't have to adjust anything, but all I had to do was enable FSR with my desired preset in-game first, and then go back to the attributes file to change the resolution back to 640 by 480. Again, the in-game menu will still say 720p, but as before, we're running at 480p. Actually no, this time we're upscaling to 480p, and using FSR quality looks much better than running the game at 480p native with no anti-aliasing, in my opinion anyway. More importantly, we're now getting 30 FPS with nothing but Intel UHD graphics. Using this iGPU is often hit or miss. Some games won't launch and some exhibit weird artifacting. Kingdom Come 2, however, doesn't give us any visual glitches or issues outside of the obvious performance limitations. As I said before though, this is all for a bit of fun, but maybe you want to make a start before that new GPU arrives or actually appears in stock. 480p with quality FSR isn't the only way to hit 30 FPS though, with the UHD 730 iGPU. Oh no. I also found that switching to FSR performance mode and then upping the resolution to 960 by 540 within the attributes file will produce a similar frame rate, all while looking a little bit more respectable. This will probably look better on a smaller screen though. Maybe you've got a handheld and can't quite manage a 30 FPS frame rate at higher resolutions. Or maybe, just like me, you're curious as to how low you can really go. In old school low spec gamer fashion, I also tried setting a load of the options from the attributes file to 0, from a value of 1, but I ended up breaking things and actually making performance worse somehow. So sticking to the resolution tweaks is probably the best bet. Can you play Kingdom Come Deliverance II on a PC with Intel UHD graphics? Yes. Is it pretty? Well, I mean, it still looks good underneath all the blur. The lowest settings are still more than passable, but the game at this res, along with upscaling, is better viewed on a smaller screen. Still, this was a fun little test, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.